15 людей, близько 50 людей поранено. Рятувальники працюють, але, на жаль, кількість загиблих ще може збільшитись. Так ми живемо щодня. Так Росія підготувалась до цього засідання Радбезу ООН.
As Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky speaking to the UN Security Council today on the 6-month anniversary of his war with Russia, Putin launched new attacks on civilians, killing 22, as you can see, at a train station in central Ukraine. President Biden approved another $3 billion gift of weapons today. It's the largest weapons shipment to date from the administration, and it brings the grand total sent to Ukraine since the war began to $13.5 billion. The United States doesn't have boots on the ground, so once the weapons get to the border of Ukraine, they're in Ukrainian hands. And in some cases, they end up out of Ukrainian hands and in the wrong hands. NewsNation's Kelly Meyer has been looking into that, joins us with some exclusive reporting. All right, Kelly, what specifically are we sending that's causing the biggest concern?
Well, I'll get to that in a second because we do have a photo that NewsNation found on the dark web. But, we had $3 billion announced today. That brings the total to $13.5 billion. And the concern here is with the longer this goes on and the more we send in, the harder it is to keep track of. Now, experts tell me that Ukraine isn't the worst of the countries to send this to, but there is concerns for Ukrainian corruption and this ending up on the dark web or being trafficked. You can take a look at this photo. NewsNation saw this Switchblade drone for sale on the dark web. Though it can't be confirmed, there is a concern of things like this happening. And how much is being funneled out, we just don't know. It's something that's almost impossible to track, especially in an active conflict. Leland?
All right, so the weapons land in Poland. We've shown the maps. They get trucked to the border with Ukraine. They head into Ukraine. Is there any way to have accountability or tracking devices on all of these things?
And I looked into that as well. And really, the thing is, if you track, then it could be hacked. Basically, if these weapons end up in the hands of the Russians, it could ultimately be used against Ukraine or anyone else for that matter. We've heard from the Pentagon multiple times that when the equipment gets to the border, it's in Ukrainian hands, ultimately wiping their hands of that. As I dug into this, I was basically told that, when you hand this over, you basically relinquish some control, and that's kind of what they're doing here. But the administration isn't shying away or trying to hide that they're concerned about the accountability factor. The Secretary of Defense has said it. John Kirby has told me it as well. But ultimately, that the risk is worth it and that the Ukrainians are using this to devastating effect. Take a listen to John Kirby earlier today.
I mean, it's a war, and things can happen in a war. We all recognize that. But we're working hard with the Ukrainians to make sure that there is good accountability, that the weapons don't end up in the wrong hands.
And ultimately, this isn't going to slow their support in the future. Leland?
Yeah. No. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.